cuties, it's Brittany with Stitches of Love Quilting, and in this video we're going to make block 6, Mrs. Claus, of our Christmas Moments block of the month. So you are going to take the fabric that's in your kit and press it, that comes in your monthly box. You are going to set up your workspace, or you have your Steady Betty, your cutting mat, any tools that you like to have on hand, like your little 4-in-1 tool, your favorite pair of scissors. You're gonna lay out all of the beautiful threads in order that they appear in the pattern. And then of course you have all your pre-fused laser cut applique pieces. And all I've done is organize them by order of appearance in the pattern. So when you load your file onto your embroidery machine, it's gonna stitch 2 lines. Now I have my hoop turned sideways. I have my hoop like this on my machine, and then I turn it sideways to be on my Steady Betty, so that it fits nicely in this workspace. And then you're simply going to take your fabric and you are going to simply place it where it is more than enough, going over the top and bottom line that's stitched in your hoop, and then of course across your hoop it's centered. So you will take your tape. This is 3M transport tape. You can use any kind you like, and you're simply gonna tape this in place, and we're going to continue with the white thread for several steps, all the way until step 20. And right now we are on step 8 of the pattern. So this is going to stitch an outline of our first round of applique pieces. Okay, so you can see that you have your guideline at the top and bottom, your fabric is secure, and of course you have your first round of applique outlines. Now I want to point something out very important on this, and you're going to see my funny pattern that I write all over in the editing process. But right here I'm going to pay attention to the leg of your gingerbread. So your gingerbread body is piece number 12, and then you can see right in here the dress is number 16, and then the bottom of the dress is number 18. The little body of the gingerbread goes under the arm of Mrs. Claus, but it goes above her dress. So when we iron this piece on in a moment, we are not gonna iron down the leg and part of the body. We're just gonna do like part of the gingerbread to secure it in place until we have the rest of the dress built out. So I wanted to point that out, and yes, you do get to see all my crazy notes that I give myself when I'm editing and filming. So let's get started on ironing our first round of applique pieces. As always, we're gonna go in numerical order. So first up is piece number 1, which is white. And of course, you know the drill by box 6. Anytime there is the peach or there is the white, you're gonna have 2 pieces. And you are simply going to line this right up. Now on these 2 pieces, it doesn't matter which one you put down first. They're exactly the same. And your piece is going to stick out past the edge of your stitching. And that's because that's the part that's gonna go into the seam allowance. Now I am going to quickly remove my tape because I don't wanna accidentally iron it. I didn't iron it right then, which is good, but you can go in and remove it just so you don't have to think about that anymore. If I can get it up, let me get a hold of it. And the piece right here. So now we're ready to iron down that second piece of the white piece number 1. So the little snow mound that Mrs. Claus is standing on. And what this does, you know, giving 2 pieces allows for that background print not to show through, or not to show through as much. So simply press that. Now we are going to go on to pieces 8, 9, and 10, which is right over here, building out the tree. So you're gonna put your tree trunk down first, just like so. And then your cute little tree. Is this not the cutest little print? Ha, I love it. It's perfect for a tree. It's been used in other blocks, of course, throughout this quilt, but it just makes me really happy on a tree. It's super cute. And then again, this is her hand, and there are 2 of the same pieces because it is the peach of her skin. And if this is hot and you need to hold it in place, just use your little tool. I love this little 4-in-1 tool. Sometimes I open it up and use the stiletto. Sometimes I just use the little wooden point. It doesn't matter, whatever makes you happy. Now with our gingerbread, remember, this part right here we're gonna iron, but this part down here, we're not gonna iron yet because I need it to be loose so that I can put it over her dress. So when we put this in place, we're just gonna be really careful to iron only up here, just enough to get it to stay, honestly, in position. That's it. So right, this little guy, he's just flapping in the breeze. See how that's not ironed on yet? And then we're gonna put our star. So of course, throughout the steps, you're gonna wanna be careful when you're aiming your iron possibly at other pieces that you don't hit that, like when we're putting on pieces of the dress itself. So there we go, our star is in place. Looking good. So keep that white thread on your machine, and we're gonna move on to step 10, where your machine is going to stitch your next round of applique outlines. Okay, so now you have your next round of applique outlines, and we are going to, again, start with the lowest number and go up. So first up, we will put piece number 2 right in place, which is the right leg of your little Mrs. Claus. And then we have the 2 yellow pieces down here. Numbers 3 and 6, they're exactly the same. So actually, if you want to put both of those down at the same time, you certainly can. Just get them right in place and then press right over it. Now we'll put down the remaining leg. So cute. And there we go. And I love it. We worked it out on the laser where the legs are gonna come out where they're not like perfectly lined up, right? They're staggered, so you have the stripes forming a cute little pattern. Now we're going to put down her right arm, just like so. This is piece number 11. And now we're gonna put the heart down on our gingerbread. Remember, be very careful on your gingerbread. You don't wanna iron him down. Now I will tell you, if you accidentally do iron down the leg too far, we'll be able to lift it up, but we're gonna wanna tape it in a minute, so you're gonna wanna be very careful. So now we're gonna put the hand in place. This is number 14. Again, I'm gonna be careful not to iron that leg. See how I'm avoiding the leg with the iron? There we go. And then just like so. Cute, cute, cute. And now what we want to do is put this back on, and the machine is going to give us our next round of outlines. But I want to tell you about a little trick we're going to do with the leg, because when it stitches the outlines of the next few steps, we don't want the little leg to get caught. So I'm going to bend his little leg back like this, not up over the arm, but this way at an angle towards the left. So see, I have the hand right here, and I'm just pulling this leg back, and I'm gonna tape it in place right there. And that's because in the next couple of steps, I'm gonna have some stitching happen right in here, and I don't want it to go over my leg. So right here, as we're ironing pieces on step 11, we are going to fold that little leg back. So now we'll put this back on with the white thread, and it's very important you have the white thread on, because in step 12, the next step, the machine is going to buttonhole stitch the legs of Mrs. Claus and give you your next round of applique outlines. Okay, so now our next round of applique outlines are stitched, and reminder, we still have our little leg taped up, and if you take a look, the stitching turned out perfect. It went right beside the leg to give us an outline of these applique pieces we're gonna put on. So again, we're gonna leave this taped up for a little bit longer. So up first, we're gonna put our shoes in place, because remember, we're starting with smallest number and working our way up on each step. So first up is our right shoe, number 4. And you're just gonna make sure your points of your shoe and around the buckle right here line up perfectly, and we'll give it a press. And now we'll put, I don't wanna burn myself with that iron. Now we'll put piece number 7 in place, and we're gonna use the points of the shoe, the lines of the buckle, and then of course this outline right here to get that in place. Now we are going to do this hand over here, her left hand, and again, we have this little piece taped up, so we wanna be very careful with the iron, not to iron on that gingerbread leg at all. So you can see I'm just being really careful. And now we have her dress. So you'll use all of the lines that are visible to line it up. You want to make sure down here at the point it lines up nicely, and of course across the top and edges. And give this a nice press. Being careful again not to hit your gingerbread. So you're going to continue with your white thread. You're gonna leave this taped up for that next step again, because you're gonna have your white pieces stitched, and it's gonna be piece number 18 that ultimately the leg is gonna go on top of. Okay, so we have our next round of applique outlines, and we're gonna go in numerical order. So we're gonna start with number 17. Again, the piece is double lined. There's 2 white pieces, exactly the same. Doesn't matter which one you put down first. And the top and bottom of this piece are a perfect fit on her dress. So you really just use those side guidelines and you're gonna have it perfectly in place. Adorable. Now, the infamous piece that's gonna go under the gingerbread leg, the piece that I've been waiting to get to so I can make sure we get that just right. So again, there's 2 pieces in this piece. Because it's a long one, I'm gonna make sure it's lined up all the way down. Let me push it down just a little right there. And then I will start setting the piece in place. Perfecto. And now, second piece right on top. I always find the second piece to be so much easier than the first piece. It seems to just like naturally lay right on top of it. And again, I'm being very careful not to hit that gingerbread leg just yet. We are gonna tape it down in this step. So what we're working on right now is step number 15 of your pattern, where we are ironing on pieces 17, 18, and 19 and releasing that little gingerbread leg down. There we go. And the second piece of her little collar of her jacket. Isn't she cute? She's so stylish, this Mrs. Claus. I think of all Christmas characters, Mrs. Claus is my favorite. As we all know, she's the one in charge of everything in the North Pole. It's just how it is. So now, finally, the moment you've been waiting for, we're gonna release the tape. Doot doot. And we are gonna put our little leg down right where it falls. So we're just gonna make sure that it's still lined up here with a little bit of the lines that we can see. You're not gonna see a line right here at the bottom of the leg. There we go. So now our gingerbread is in place. The stress is done. See, that's what yours should look like in the hoop. Perfecto. And yes, you do have a little bit of space right here. The gingerbread doesn't come all the way up to her sleeve and it doesn't fill this like a little void. So see, you do have some background fabric showing right there between the dress and the gingerbread man, and that is correct. So now keep the white thread on. We have just a few more steps until we start doing all the fun stitching. But our next step is going to be an outline of Mrs. Claus's face. Okay, so now we have an outline of her face, just one applique outline, but there are 2 pieces again because it's the peach. And so we're going to simply line this up. The part that matters the most on this piece is her little chin. So make sure that's lined up, of course, really well. And then simply put that second piece right on top. Now we'll move on to the last step of applique outlines, which is step number 18. And the machine is going to give us an outline of Mrs. Claus's hair. So we'll be back in just a moment to iron that on. Okay, so we have one more applique outline. We are going to simply put her hair in place. And fun fact about this, you see what a great color her hair is? It's actually the inside of gray shade. See how the back is darker? That's actually the real color of the gray. But to get the really cool hair color, we use the wrong side of the fabric to be out. So always a fun little trick when you can do something a little different with the fabric to get the color that you need. Mom is very particular, Julie being the designer, is very particular about grays. And so I just think it's always fun. She does this a lot. If you were a member of the U-Troop quilt, we did this on a lot of the sheep. And we've done it on Jolly Jingles, if you did that Christmas quilt. There's a lot of times where we utilize the wrong side of that perfect gray shade. It's slate gray, I believe. Okay, so now this is what your hoop should look like. You've built your applique unit, you conquered your gingerbread leg, you're ready to go. So we are now on step 20, and steps 20 through 29, all you have to do is change your thread colors. So I've lined up my thread right here along the right in numerical order of appearance. So first up is 1095, this beautiful turquoise color, and the machine is going to stitch just along the snow that is going to show in our block. Now I'm going to take my hoop on and off through this process so I can talk to you about the thread color changes, show you what your stitching should look like in your hoop. For you at your machine, you do not need to take your hoop off all the way until step 30. So just leave your hoop on and stitch along with me, and let's get going with our first thread color change. Alrighty, so that first color is stitched. Take a look. I just love that color. Isn't that so pretty on your block? Kind of pulls out all the fun turquoise in the background fabric too. So now we're moving on to step 21. We are going to load the 1176, the medium dark avocado, so it's the darker green in your thread kit, and your machine is going to buttonhole stitch the outside of your boots for Mrs. Claus and also go around the center area, securing the center of your boot in place as well. Okay, so now you can see Mrs. Claus's shoes are stitched. Looks perfect. You'll notice that the bottom of the shoe is not stitched. That's on purpose because the edge of the snow and the bottom of the shoe are going to be caught in the seam allowance by 1/4 inch, and so there's no stitching there necessary. So now we're going to load 1130, the dark brown, and your machine is going to quickly stitch the stem or the tree trunk of your Christmas tree. Now you can see that the bottom of your tree is stitched, and our next color that we are going to put on our machine is the 1177 avocado so that your machine will stitch the top of the Christmas tree for you. Now your tree is all stitched. Look how cute it is. I love watching the machine do this and seeing everything just really start to pop. I can't wait till we get to stitching her dress. But next is 1019 peach, and the machine is going to stitch the bottom of her face and of course both of her hands. Alrighty, so now her face and her hands are stitched, looks great. And now the step I'm most excited about, because I think it's really gonna be what makes everything really pop, and we are going to load the 1039 true red, and all of her dress is going to get stitched, including the 3 white pieces, which are outlined in that red to really make them pop from the background. Oh my goodness gracious, can we talk about some perfection of stitching right here? First off, Mrs. Claus has her cute little mouth. The heart on the gingerbread is perfectly stitched, but look at her dress. Oh my gosh. That just looks so good. You just gotta touch it. I just love it. Feels so good. Looks so good. I'm just so pleased with that. So now we are going to load the 1056 medium tawny tan, and you guessed it, our cute little gingerbread is what we'll stitch next. Alrighty, now your gingerbread is all stitched. He looks cute as can be, or should I say yummy, because you eat your gingerbread. Now we are going to change to the 1218 silver gray, and you guessed it, Mrs. Claus's hair will be stitched next. Okay, y'all, take a look at Mrs. Claus's hair. Is that not great? And I added a little accent line right here to really make that little bun effect stick out. I just think it looks so good. So now we're going to do the butterfly gold color on our machine, 0567, and our little star will be stitched. After that, it's just time to give our gingerbread and Mrs. Claus some eyeballs on the next step. And now our star looks so good. So our final color change is to black, and Mrs. Claus and your gingerbread are both gonna come to life with some eyeballs. Okay, y'all, is she not too cute? Let's take a look at our stitching from top to bottom. Look at how adorable Mrs. Claus is and her little gingerbread man is with the eyeballs. Oh my gosh, the stitching is just perfection. I hope you had so much fun making Mrs. Claus. This is your 6th block in your Christmas Lane block of the month, and next month, I hope you have just as much fun. I can't remember what the next block is, but it's gonna be fun to stitch again. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out. Visit stitchesoflovequilting.com, click on support, and you'll be able to submit a ticket or view the FAQ specifically about Christmas Lane. Happy stitching!